Have you ever looked at your hands and thought about everything they've carried through the years? The little ones they once held, the meals they prepared with love, the work they've done quietly, faithfully. And maybe now, those same hands feel a bit slower, a bit less steady. But even as time passes and the world around us changes, the purpose that God placed inside you has not faded. It hasn't retired. In fact, in many ways, this might be the moment it shines brightest. There's this common feeling that tends to creep in as we get older, that maybe our most useful days are behind us, that our energy isn't what it used to be, that now it's time to step back and watch from the sidelines. It's subtle, but it's there. We begin to hear phrases like, "You've already done your part," or "Let the younger ones lead now." And though these words might sound kind on the surface, they can plant seeds of doubt. Doubt about our value, our impact, and even our calling. But let me tell you something with all the love and truth I can gather. Your faith doesn't retire, and neither does your ability to serve God with power. This season of life is not a fading sunset. It's a deepening of the light, a richer, fuller flame. It's a time when your wisdom is more valuable than ever, when your words carry weight and your prayers shape lives. God is not done with you. He never put an expiration date on faith, nor did he ever say that age could disqualify someone from his service. In fact, the Bible shows us the exact opposite. Think about Moses. He was 80 years old when God called him to lead an entire nation out of slavery. 80. Not 30, not 50, but 80. At an age when most people today would be well into retirement, Moses was just beginning the greatest chapter of his life. And it wasn't by accident. It was because age had given him something youth couldn't: humility, perspective, and a deep dependence on God. God waited until Moses had walked through the wilderness, not just once but many times, so that when it was time to lead others through theirs, he would know the way. And then there's Caleb. I always smile when I think of his boldness. At 85 years old, he stood before Joshua and said, "I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out. Give me this mountain." Can you imagine that kind of courage? That kind of faith? He didn't ask for a quiet plot of land to settle down. He asked for the mountain that was still filled with giants. Because he believed God wasn't done with him yet. He still had strength, still had vision, still had a heart ready to fight for God's promises. Those stories aren't just there to inspire us. They're there to remind us of what's still possible. They whisper to us that it's not too late to make a difference. Not too late to love more deeply, pray more boldly, serve more joyfully. And maybe you won't be parting seas or taking mountains, but you might be the one who teaches a grandchild to pray. You might be the quiet voice of peace that steadies a friend during a storm. You might be the prayer warrior behind a family that's barely holding on. And make no mistake, those things change lives. You see, God doesn't measure strength the way the world does. He doesn't look at your speed or stamina, but at your heart, your willingness, your openness to be used right where you are. Maybe your legs don't carry you as far as they once did, but your spirit can still go deep into prayer. Maybe your hands can't build like they used to, but they can still comfort, still bless, still hold the hand of someone who feels lost. There's power in that. Sacred power. I remember an older woman from our church years ago. She never preached a sermon, never led a Bible study, never traveled for mission work. But every Sunday, she'd be there early, sitting quietly in the third pew from the front. Her eyes closed, lips moving softly in prayer. She'd look around the room and notice who was hurting, who seemed distant, who hadn't been there in a while. And during the week, she'd call, send cards, show up with a casserole. People used to say she had a ministry of presence. And she did. Her ministry wasn't loud, but it was deep. Her impact stretched far beyond the church walls. That's the kind of power that doesn't fade. It grows. It deepens with time. And the beautiful part is that it doesn't require perfect health or endless energy. It just requires love, faith, a heart that says, God, I'm still here. Use me. That simple prayer can open doors you never imagined. Sometimes the most powerful work we do is in the quiet places, the hidden acts of obedience, the moments when no one sees but God. And those are often the ones that change everything. So if you've been wondering whether your time has passed, whether your service is behind you, I want you to know this. You still carry God's Spirit. You still carry purpose. And you still carry the ability to influence, to encourage, to reflect His love in a world that desperately needs it. Don't underestimate the power of your presence, the wisdom in your words, or the strength in your stillness. And if this message is resonating with your heart right now, I'd love to invite you to subscribe to the channel and like this video. When you do that, it helps this message reach others who may also need the reminder that faith does not retire, that this chapter of life, far from being the end, can be a season of deep, beautiful purpose. Thank you for being here. There's more I want to share with you, so let's keep this conversation going. Sometimes the most important thing we need is not more energy, but a clearer reminder of why we still matter. That even when the house feels quieter, the phone rings less often, or the mirror shows lines we didn't used to notice, our lives still have weight. You are not an afterthought in God's story. You are still a living part of His plan. Let's think about Anna for a moment. She's not the most talked about character in the Bible, but her story is incredibly powerful. And that same kind of quiet, devoted service is possible in your life too. Begin with what's in front of you. Maybe it's a neighbor who seems lonely. But I'll tell you something. The prayers of an older believer who has spent decades trusting God have a weight that can shake the heavens. When you pray, heaven listens. When you speak words of peace, they carry the echo of your life's walk with God. That's not small. That's not ordinary. That's sacred. Maybe it's your grown children, who may not say it aloud, but still need your voice of calm and your reminder that God is with them. Maybe there's a ministry idea you once had but set aside. Maybe there's a desire to mentor someone, to start a Bible study group in your home, or simply to be more intentional with your prayers. You are still needed. You are still called, and your faith can be more alive now than ever before. God delights in using willing hearts, and yours is full of the years and moments that shape a deep, powerful walk with Him. Whatever it is, I want you to know that it's not too late. In fact, the timing might be just right. Sometimes God waits until we have space in our lives to really listen, really focus, really pour ourselves into something without distraction. Retirement from work might be real, but retirement from purpose? That's not in the kingdom vocabulary. Tending to your body and your soul, resting when you need to, saying no when it's time, with your story, your strengths, your pace, your way. That's what makes it beautiful. The body of Christ isn't meant to be uniform. It's meant to be united, each person offering what they can, when they can, however they can. There is nothing selfish about self-care when it comes from a place of stewardship. Your body is still a temple. Your heart still belongs to God. And when you care for yourself with gentleness, you're honoring Him too. Maybe it's that woman at church who sits in the back and leaves quietly every week. She may be waiting for someone like you to notice her. You don't need to know the whole plan to start serving. Just start with one act of love, one prayer, one conversation. You don't need a platform or a stage. You just need open eyes, a ready heart, and the willingness to keep showing up, just like Anna did. Some of the most powerful moments in your walk with God may still be ahead. In the Gospel of Luke, we meet her as a widow, 84 years old, living in the temple. She didn't leave it. To hear God's whispers that get lost in the noise. To notice things that others overlook. The pace may change, but the power does not. The fruit may grow slower, but it grows deeper. As Psalm 92 says so beautifully, they will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. That's not just poetry, it's promise. It's God saying to you, you are not finished, you are flourishing. I may move slower now, but my spirit is willing. But that doesn't mean you're less valuable. It means you've lived. It means you've carried burdens and blessings. It means you have perspective others don't. The wisdom of age isn't something to hide, it's something to offer. And you, with all your years of walking with God, carry treasures others desperately need. You've been through storms. You've come out the other side. You've seen what prayer can do. You've learned to wait, to trust, to let go, and to forgive. That kind of wisdom is more valuable than gold. So many younger people are hungry for that kind of insight, but they don't know where to find it. You can be that person who helps them see faith not as a rule book, but as a relationship. Not as pressure, but as peace. Show me what you want me to do today. That might mean calling someone you haven't heard from in a while. It might mean writing down the stories of your life to pass along your testimony to your grandchildren. It might mean joining a prayer group or writing encouragement cards to those in the hospital. None of it is small. Not to God. Day and night she worshiped, prayed, and fasted. Just imagine the quiet devotion of her life, her rhythms of worship in that sacred space, year after year. Some people might have looked at her and thought she was just a background figure. But God thought otherwise. Anna was there, ready, when the baby Jesus was brought into the temple. She recognized him. She praised God and spoke about him to others. After decades of quiet faithfulness, Anna was given the gift of witnessing the Messiah. She was one of the first to proclaim his arrival. You see, that kind of faith doesn't make headlines, but heaven sees it. Heaven honors it. There's a deep strength in simply being available, in saying to God each day, I'm here, Lord. Some of the greatest legacies are built in the little things done with great love. And if you're wondering how to start, the answer is always simple. Begin where you are. It is easy to underestimate spiritual strength because it doesn't always look impressive on the outside. And don't forget that serving God in this season also means caring for yourself. Some people worry that if they slow down, they're letting others down. But sometimes, slowing down allows you to see more clearly. Maybe you've noticed that your memory doesn't always cooperate the way it used to. Maybe your body aches more than it once did. And perhaps there's something stirring in your heart now, a gentle nudge, a quiet curiosity. And the beauty of all this is that you don't have to serve like anyone else. You get to serve like you. So breathe that in. Let it settle in your heart. You know what's beautiful about this stage of life? There's more room to feel, to slow down and actually notice the presence of God in the quiet moments. A young couple who needs to hear that it is okay to struggle and that God still works through brokenness. A single mother who feels alone and needs someone to remind her she's not forgotten. A man who's lost direction and just needs someone to listen. You've walked through so much. Your words carry healing. Serving God in this season means doing what is right for you with peace in your heart. You become a lighthouse for others, not because you've never been through storms, but because you've survived them. You carry the proof that faith endures, that it's not about perfection, but perseverance. Maybe that means continuing what you've already been doing faithfully for years. Maybe it means trying something new. You've pulled weeds, weathered droughts, seen some things bloom and others fall away. The kingdom of God operates on a different kind of scale. God isn't asking you to change everything overnight. He's simply asking for your yes. If this message has encouraged you, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, and sharing it with someone who might need it too. With grace, with quiet power, and you are not walking it alone. And if you feel comfortable, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell us, how are you serving God in this season of your life? Or what has this video reminded you of? Your words might inspire someone else who really needs to hear them. Your willingness to be available, that's all it takes. He'll take care of the rest. Your faith, lived out with quiet consistency, is a treasure. Your kindness, your wisdom, your time, these are gifts. You're not a relic of the past. You're a vessel of God's presence today. The moments you offer forgiveness, even when it's hard. The days when you speak hope, even when you feel tired. These things are not small. They are powerful offerings to God. He treasures every one. And now, here you are, in a season when the roots are deep and the soil is rich. This is the time for slow, beautiful fruit. Fruit that nourishes others. Fruit that lasts. Maybe it simply means asking God each morning, show me how I can serve you today, even if it's in the quiet. You can be the one who says, I've been through something like that. God is not keeping score. He is still writing your story. There is still purpose in every breath you take. Redemption doesn't come with age limits. Some of the most powerful testimonies are born from later chapters. And some of the deepest healing happens when we allow God to use our lives, just as they are, to reach others who are hurting too. And God showed up. Those words stay with people. They plant seeds. Maybe you don't rush like you used to, but that slowness brings a depth others rarely experience. You can see what really matters. You're not chasing approval or recognition anymore. You've seen enough of life to know that the most meaningful things are often invisible. Love, peace, faithfulness, prayer, kindness, these are the bricks that build eternity, and they're still being laid in your life. You don't need a big plan to leave a legacy of faith. Sometimes it starts with something as simple as a conversation. And if you ever feel like your world has gotten smaller, fewer outings, fewer activities, remember that God can fill any space. He can use you in a room with just one other person. He can use you through a phone call, a letter, even a smile at the grocery store. His Spirit is not limited by age or by setting. The smallest moment, when done with love, becomes sacred. One of the greatest gifts you can offer the world right now is your spiritual presence. Your ability to bring calm into anxious situations, to offer gentle truth without harshness, to pray without needing to be seen. There is strength in that, and it's a strength the world deeply needs. You don't need to push yourself to do more than you can. There is something incredibly powerful about a person who has lived long enough to know that God is faithful, and who carries that truth like a warm fire wherever they go. Think of your life as a garden that's been growing for decades. God sees it all. The prayers you pray in silence, the burdens you carry for your loved ones. And if there are days when you feel like you've made too many mistakes, or wonder if you missed your chance to serve Him well, I want to speak grace into that place. So don't let the world's definition of usefulness define your worth. And if you're watching this, can something in you feel stirred? If your heart feels open and your spirit feels ready, then take that as a gentle invitation. Before we close, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. It means more than you know. Your story is not over. Your faith is not finished, and your impact is far from done. This season right now is filled with purpose. You are walking it with God,